In this video, I've got reviews for 6 different brands of batting gloves. So we've got the Marucci Blacksmith V2s, we've got Jax Long Cuff, we've got Warstic Workman 3s, Rawlings Workhorse, Frankin Infinite Powerstrap, and of course, the Bruce Bolt Long Cuff. So if you're interested in any of these batting gloves, you can scrub through the timestamps below to see my individual review of just that one, or go through all of them and find my overall conclusions and my top 2 picks towards the end. As we get started, there's basically, I think these fall into 2 camps. There's thicker feeling batting gloves like this Jax, where the leather's a little bit thicker, or thinner feeling batting gloves like these Marucci Blacksmiths that give you a little more sensitivity in how much you can feel the actual bat handle. 3 of these fell into the thicker feeling camp, the Jax, the Warstic, and the Bruce Bolts, with the other 3, the Maruccis, the Rawlings Workhorse, and the Frankins falling into the thinner feeling category. Now, is there a gigantic difference between feel? Not a huge amount, but I think it is something that where we can kind of separate a little bit based on what you want in a batting glove. And if you don't know if you want a thicker feeling batting glove or a thinner feeling, then you're just gonna have to tinker. Maybe this season get 1 pair, next season try something else. All right, first let's look at some thin feeling batting gloves. This is the Frankin Powerstrap Infinite series. Let's talk about the closure first. So number 1, this is one of the things I don't like about the design is this goes really close to the edge. So when you line this up to close it, it'll often rub your skin a little bit unless you get on there absolutely perfect. Is that a huge deal? No. And when I hit with these, I didn't find it to bother me too often. However, I don't love how this looks. I mean, they could have made that gray. So overall, I don't think these are the most attractive gloves as far as the closure. But what I do like about this closure is that you just grab it. It all goes the same direction. You wrap around and you're good. Now, when you hit with Frankin gloves, Frankin's been around for a long time. The thing everyone knows about Frankin gloves is that they've always had a thinner leather palm, so you have more feel of the bat. So if you're more of a feel person and you like thin gloves where you can really feel the barrel or the handle, then Frankins are still that same tradition right now. So I like these gloves for 2 reasons. Number 1, I really like the spandex back. These had one of my favorite backs. I felt like I had good hand movement and I like the stretchy material. It has leather obviously all over, but none of that is impeding your movement, and I was a big fan of that. I also like the thin feel. I'm not sure, I mean, there's always trade-offs, right? So if you want a thinner feeling batting glove, it's probably not going to be as durable long-term. We'll check in with these later on in the year. But overall, I really like the knuckle and finger movement with the Frankins. They're really good. I don't love the closure. Like I can feel some of the Velcro right now even. But overall, I do like the ease of the closure. And these have the same classic Frankin batting glove feel that you've probably worn before. This is the Marucci Blacksmith V2. So let's look at the palm here. So you've got the thin leather with this sort of like dimpling effect, kind of like the old school Frankin batting gloves. So you're gonna get a lot of feel with these, plus the extra reinforcement through the finger ridge and back here on the back side of the pinky. Now Marucci has my favorite closure because as you pull and tension it, everything goes the same way all at once. So it's really, really easy to put these on. Is that a huge upgrade from other batting gloves? It's not that big of a deal what the closure is, but this is by far my favorite closure. So if you're someone who really likes to be able to just put them on really quick and not think about it, these are my winner as far as closure styles go. Now, Marucci's, these are this is one of the more durable styles of gloves. So that their Blacksmith series has this extra feel here, this extra leather here, so you can, hopefully get some more longevity. But these gloves still have a thin feel, similar to the Frankins, where you can really feel the bat. This is not thick leather on the fingers, down here on the thumb. So you're gonna get the feel of the bat if that's what you want, rather than some of the thicker gloves. You still have really good knuckle movement on the back because of all the fabric back here. So overall, these are a great pick if you like the feel of the bat, you like natural hand movement, you don't want too much restriction with leather back here. And the closure, I think, on the Marucci's is the simplest and really just a top-notch, easy-to-use closure. But those are the Marucci Blacksmiths. And these are the only ones in this video that have the single closure, not the long cuff closure, the regular strap. So let's talk about these real quick. These have 2 key features to think about. One, it has this relatively thick pad. It's maybe, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch of thick pad here. So if you're a person that tears their gloves down here, which a lot of people do, or you don't like the feel of the knob rubbing against or the bat handle rubbing against your hand, these gloves are going to be for you. This is not necessarily for everyone, but for people who want that, this is a lifesaver. They've got this extra leather here for reinforcement where you contact the bat, and then you can see relatively thin leather, but not the thinnest through the palm. Now, I've had these for half a season. These are the only ones that are not brand new at the time of my testing. So these have held up pretty well in the, like 3 or 4 months of the season that I use them for. They have good movement on the back of the wrist, so there's no you don't feel any tension when you squeeze your hands. You have good natural hand movement. And they have a pretty thin feel for the bat overall. The one thing that you're gonna have to really make a choice with is this thick heel pad. So if you want that, then these are gonna be great for you. If you don't want that, then these are not the gloves for you. Next up, let's look at the thicker feeling batting gloves. Thicker leather, probably a little more durable. Let's check them out. Milwaukee work gloves. So these were about 30 bucks, and I've heard rumors of people using work gloves as batting gloves, so I wanted to throw at least one pair in the mix, especially a pair that looked a lot like a traditional batting glove. So if someone told you this was a batting glove, you wouldn't probably immediately question it, right? Like, it's got the fabric back, it looks attractive, it's not crazy, like fat fingered or anything. Like, it honestly passes the look test. Here's my thoughts, because I've hit with these. These have really thick leather because obviously they're a work glove. So that's a pro if you really get pissed off at batting gloves tearing, which is the thing that I get pissed off about, to be quite honest. So as far as durability for the price goes, you are not going to find probably a more durable batting glove than these, because these have, you can see it's already 2-layer. Now, here's the thing. You are going to lose feel on the bat. And this is the number one thing I felt using these. These are definitely passable. You could definitely use these as batting gloves and you'd be okay. But these are a little bit more fat fingered. The fingers are just generally wider than the other batting gloves. That's the first thing you noticed. So there's more bunching when you do squeeze your fingers. And it's just, you feel the extra material in there. And then it's just so thick through the fingers. It's not crazy thick, but it's thick enough where you really kind of lose your feel of your skin to the bat. So if you're a country boy and you want to go up there with some Milwaukee batting gloves, do it. These are not bad. They're just a little bit fat fingered and there's a little bit more material, so you're going to lose some of the feel for the bat, but I guarantee these are going to be durable and you'll get some chuckles out of your teammates. All right, let's talk about the Warstic Workman 3 batting gloves. And look, this is last year's model. The new model does not have these plastic strips on there for grip. I will talk about those in a moment. These have a really nice design, all fabric back, really easy to move. Big fan of that. Thicker leather. I like the suede on the inside. Here's one of the quirks that I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like that they open up on the thumb side. When I grab my batting gloves, like I have my whole life, I would always tug from here. So this takes some getting used to. Is that a big deal? No. To put these on, thumb attaches that to the strip there, and then the Velcro wraps around. So pretty easy. Overall, the fit is good. Your hands move really well. A little bit of a thicker feel. First impressions, they're good looking gloves. Love the styling. Not a huge fan of these plastic strips. You have to kind of break them in a little bit because at first it feels like your hand becomes a flipper. Once you break them in and get some creases in there, they're a little bit better. They do give some good grip, so you can kind of grip the bat a little bit looser. I think that was the point of them. But like I said, in the Workman 4, which I don't have, they are removing those. So this is only something you'll find in last year's model. Fit's good. The fit is a little bit more towards the bend of your wrist. I wish it was a little bit lower on my wrist down here, not on the hinge of my wrist in general. But overall, these are pretty good gloves. When I was swinging, I really these are loose, these are light. They're not too thick feeling. You don't notice them too much. They move really well because of the all fabric back, which I'm a fan of. Other gloves that have too much leather back here can become a little bit restrictive. But overall, these are really comfortable. They're not hard to put on. This is not my favorite closure by any stretch. But overall, I think these are good, attractive gloves. And as far as durability goes, we'll have to check in later. This is some nice thick leather right here on the palms. These are the Bruce Bolt long cuff Pro Series batting gloves. These are $95. These are the most expensive of the bunch that I've tested. So let's talk about what you get with Bruce Bolt. So number one of their big things is thicker leather, right? So these, you can definitely feel, these are a thicker feel. Now they do not feel as thick as these Milwaukee work gloves. Like these, you definitely lose a lot of feel. These are definitely thinner fingers, but you definitely notice a drop off versus the Frankins or the Maruccis. The other thing about the Bruce Bolts that you need to understand before we talk about the closure is there's no stretch through the knuckles back here. And you can definitely feel that. Now, these gloves will definitely loosen up as the leather itself does stretch and molds to your hand a bit, but there's spandex here, which I like, but there's no spandex at this knuckle and there's no spandex here. It's a little more constrictive. You don't move quite as well as you do with some of the gloves, especially like the Frankins do a great job of putting good spandex in there. So let's start with the closure. You pull the strap down this way, and it's a little counterintuitive. Instead of following it, which I want to, you go the opposite direction to wrap. Now, that's not my favorite closure. Is that a big deal? Certainly not. But I like the ones the best where it all goes the same direction in one fell swoop, where you go here and you wrap, but these ones go the other direction. So that's not my favorite. It takes you an extra 1 second, so it's not a huge deal. Now, I think the big plus of the Bruce Bolts is they make you look like you're Batman or something, right? You look like a superhero. They are clearly very high quality. Now, Bruce Bolt are about $30 more than similar batting gloves on the market. So do you get that money's worth? Are you getting $35 more value over a $60 batting glove like the Frankins or the Warstics or the Marucci Blacksmiths? I'm not sure. I know there's a cool factor, and that's, you know, something to pay for. They definitely use premium materials. There's no question about that. They fit well. They look great. The question for you is, do you want the thicker feel? Because you definitely lose a little bit of sensitivity in how you'll feel the bat because of the thicker leather. There's no question there. And then do you want the slightly more constrictive feeling of the leather? Because you definitely notice that, especially on the thumb, especially on these knuckles. All right, so these are the Jax long cuff batting gloves. So let's talk about what we've got here with Jax. Thick leather in the palm. We've got the reinforcing leather back here. These feel thinner, slightly thinner and softer than the Bruce Bolts. And then we've got leather in the back, and then we've got a big bridge of spandex for the knuckles. I'd say these are most comparable to the Bruce Bolts, but with those differences. You're gonna have a little more sensitivity, a little more feel through the palm, and you're gonna have a little bit more hand motion, a little more hand movement because of the spandex. And I noticed that when I was hitting with these. Very similar closure to the Bruce Bolts. Again, I don't love that you can't go this way, you have to go the other way. Is that a big deal? Certainly not. I will say out of the wrapper, and these will probably loosen up, this spandex is pretty tight. So your options are to go a little tighter than I would like. I assume that will probably loosen up over time. And then as we pull these ones on, same thing, closure this way, strap goes the other way, and then latch there. So overall, I think these strike the best balance of having a little bit thicker leather while still retaining like very natural full hand movement. You even get the spandex on the thumb here too. These I think are an overall really good kind of balance of the two styles between the thick and the thin leather and the sensitive or a not sensitive feel, and then the restrictive hand movement versus the movement where they do a good job balancing out how much leather is on this glove. So overall, they're a good offering from Jax. All right, so let's get to my overall picks, and you can probably guess that my two picks are on my hands. So my overall two favorites are the Marucci Blacksmiths, which are $60, and these are a thinner feeling batting glove, and the Jax, which are $80, and these have a slightly thicker feel. Now let's start with the Jax first. The Bruce Bolts are great, well-made gloves. I think the price point is really steep, and I don't love the extra thick palms and the extra kind of thick leather on the back where I feel like I lose a little bit of both feel for the bat and a little bit of constrictive motion in the back. The Jax kind of solve those problems. They're slightly thinner, but still thick leather, and you get more movement because there's more spandex on the thumb and on the back of the knuckle. So I like that about them. These are still $80. That's a lot to spend on batting gloves. So this is a more premium price point. You're either in this market or you're not. But if you are in that market for the higher price batting gloves with a thicker feel, the Jax I think are my winner. Now the Maruccis I think are my overall favorite when it comes to price, value, all those things. These are a thinner feeling batting glove. I think these look amazing. You lose no hand movement whatsoever. The closure is my favorite. It's so simple to put these on, take them off, and these were durable. In my last season, I used the V1s. They made the entire season with no tears. So I think these are really phenomenal batting gloves. So these would be my top two picks, the Jax at $80 and the Marucci Blacksmiths at $60. I don't think you can go wrong with either if they're in your price range. So thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you here in the next one.